can see it in your eyes that you're gonna run. You're gonna run. I can hear it in the way you speak to me, that you're gonna leave. And as you slip away, I will say, and as you pack your things, I will sing. Even if you run away from me over the mountains, through the valleys, I will not rest but search east and west to bring you back with me. Even if you sail away from me across the oceans and the seas, I will move again like the mighty wind and blow you back with me. I'm gonna move again like the mighty wind and blow you back to me. I have seen this all before. It is all too familiar. But you will never see the bottom of my storehouses of love. So as you use the night to make your flight, no choice that you will make or path you take could change my mind. Even if one day you decide you don't want to be by my side, I will walk your way and call your name and wait for your reply. Even if one day you decide you will find somewhere else to hide, I will leave behind the 99, or that you'd be mine. I'm gonna leave behind the 99, or that you'd be mine. Oh, 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 la da 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 da, oh da 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 da. Even if you stomp and scream and huff, tell me that I'm not good enough, I'll take every swing and every blow until you know my love. Even if you beat upon my chest, tell me that you don't understand, I will love you and teach you to love me again. I'm gonna love you and teach you to love me again. Oh, 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 la da 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 da, oh da 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 da.
Well, good morning and welcome to Riverside. Thank you for taking the step of coming together, and whether this feels normal and part of your weekly rhythm, or whether it feels out of place and disruptive, or maybe it feels totally new, thank you. We believe that we can take a step, whether that's really normal or feels really strange, because we have a genuine welcome on offer, an invitation from our God that is real and meaningful and sees us where we are and invites us to come. We believe that our God looks at us and delights and is thankful that we've taken this step to gather together and to do something that feels like we're trying to set patterns that are meaningful and add up to a big purpose in life. Things like listening or singing or praying or being still. Things that if you're anything like me, I'm not great at doing throughout my week. And so we believe that when we come and we practice doing something different like this, it matters. It matters because our God extends us a real offer to come into his presence where he delights in us and offers his love. We hear the words of our Savior to put in front of our hearts and minds, to cue us in and pull us together in this moment. Jesus said, "I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world." If you're able, if you're willing, let's stand together and sing.
Oh, my love, you have grown so cold to the world outside, to the house next door. She who has been loved much has so much to give. Mercy is the fragrance of the broken. Justice will roll down. Oh, justice will roll down from high upon these mountains with a mighty river sound. It will roll down. It will roll down. Oh, my child, I will be your light in your secret pain, in the dark of night. No enemy, no conqueror will steal your life from me. I am your salvation and your victory. Justice will roll down. Oh, justice will roll down from high upon these mountains with a mighty river sound. It will roll down. It will roll down. Soon, oh soon, when the trumpet sounds, every knee will bend, every heart will pound. I have made a new world where the servant is the king. Oppression will be over and the slave set free. Justice will roll down. Oh, justice will roll down from high upon those mountains with a mighty river sound. It will roll down. It will roll down. It will roll down. It will roll down. All this pain, I wonder if I'll ever find my You make beautiful things out of us. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of us. You make me new. You are making me new. You make me new. You are making me new. You make me new. You are making me new. You make me new. You are making me new. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of us. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of the dust. You make beautiful things. You make beautiful things out of us.
You can be seated if you were standing. So one of the things we do when we gather together in our hope of practicing life with God and with each other is to practice being still and being quiet. And if you're like me, when you step into church, it's not like there's some magic switch that like, okay, now I'm present and now everything is focused and I'm in some super spiritual place. Of course not. We're whole people. We bring our lives and our bodies and our minds and our hearts with us. And so it's worth practicing taking time to focus and to remember that we have a God who invites us to cast our cares on him because he cares for us. And so we get to do that. And so when we are still for a moment, we have the opportunity to take stock of our thoughts. And it's not like it's something profound that we have to have a realization, but just the normal, ongoing, everyday things that are part of our life. Our God wants to hear from us and wants us to put that into context with him. And the hope is that, well, if we practice this today, on Wednesday, when family is crazy or friends are crazy or work and life is speeding up, I might have something back in my muscle memory to remember, so I can remember, okay, to be still, I've got a God who cares about me. So in this moment, I can be still and be present with him. So we'll take a moment and practice that now, where we can take stock of our hearts and our minds and offer that in presence to our God. The Apostle Paul was someone who had his life radically changed by meeting the love of God. And he reminds us of this. Therefore, Since we have been justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. Through him, we have also obtained access, by faith, into this grace in which we stand, and we rejoice in the hope of the glory of God. If you're able, let's stand and keep singing.
Great is thy faithfulness, O God, my Father. There is no shadow of turning with thee. Thou changest not, thy compassions, they fail not. As thou hast been, thou forever wilt be. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Summer and winter and springtime and harvest, sun, moon, and stars in their courses above, join with all nature in manifold witness to thy great faithfulness, mercy, and love. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. Pardon for sin and a peace that endureth, thine own dear presence to cheer and to guide, strength for today and bright hope for tomorrow. Blessings all mine with 10,000 beside. Great is thy faithfulness, great is thy faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, thy hand hath provided. Great is thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me.
You can be seated if you are standing.
Hello. I just wanted to give you guys some updates about our newest iteration of Kids Church. I wanted to first say thank you so much for all of your patience as we have gone through lots of transitions, and we will go through some more transitions too. But here is what we have going on right now. So today is our first day with this new arrangement. We have 4 classrooms open during the second service. We just noticed we had a lot more kids and families coming to second service, and so we've just shifted around some volunteers. And this is what we have going on. The classrooms are in new physical spaces too. So this is a map here. Everything is downstairs now. Nothing is upstairs at all. So everything, you'll go through the fireplace room, go down that hallway, turn left, That's where all of our kids' classrooms are now. The pink room is where it always has been. It's still there. Then directly across the hall from the pink room, so overlooking the top parking lot, that's our blue room. So that is kindergarten, first and second grade. If you keep going down the hallway, you'll get to the orange room, also overlooking adjacent to the blue room. That is pre-K 3 and 4. And then the purple room, if you go all the way down to the end of the hallway, that's 3rd, 4th, and 5th. These are the colors that those rooms used to be years ago. They're not the same ages they used to be. You might also notice that both the pink room and the orange room have 3 on there. And we're going to leave that sort of up to parent discretion as far as what room you'd prefer your 3-year-old in. The pink room doesn't have a lesson. It is just a play space. And the orange room does have a lesson. So you might find that your younger, smaller 3-year-old would be better suited in the pink room. You might find that your older 3-year-old or a 3-year-old who's in preschool, that kind of thing, might prefer the orange room. So when you go to check in, this is only specific to those of you who have 3-year-olds, but you'll go in, you'll press the little pencil button next to your kid's name, and you'll be able to choose from a drop-down menu of orange or pink room. So that'll be up to you. That is our current plan for the foreseeable future. I will say definitely in November. I can't really guarantee beyond that. Our next goal is to open up a 5th classroom during second service to split up 3 and 4-year-olds because we just have a lot of preschoolers here, which is awesome. But I think that would benefit everybody. And then eventually we'd love to reopen things first service. The reality of opening up the 4 classrooms here means that we don't have any classrooms open during first service anymore. So we'd love to reopen those eventually. We'll keep you posted about all of that kind of stuff, but this is what we have going on right now, definitely for the month of November, and we'll go from there. We had some technical difficulties this morning with check-in. I think everybody is checked in now. I'm going to dismiss you here in a moment to drop off your kids. If you have not gotten checked in, the tablets are working now and you can get those going. So in just a minute, families, you can be dismissed. We're also going to start the talkative 10, so we'll all be dismissed here. During this time, we just use it as an opportunity to practice loving our neighbor, because that's something that Jesus calls us to do, but it's also something that is hard and that we need to practice. And so we think that this is a relatively safe space to try that out and give it a try. But we also know that some days are harder than others, and if today's one of those days, you feel free to walk around the courtyard. It's a beautiful day. Hide out in the bathroom. Less beautiful, but more hidden. So we'll come back in about 10 minutes. Families, you can take your kids to their various classrooms, and we'll meet back here.
Maggie, thank you for doing. I was so worried that I was gonna have. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna miss, because I saw the email. I'm like, there's a bunch of new colors and there's a bunch of new. I'm like,
No, I know.
And Joe was like, Maggie's gonna do. I'm like, hallelujah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and there's, of course, new kinks whenever there's a new thing.
Exactly.
So check in this morning.
Oh my gosh, of course, right.
Everyone, sorry.
Well, good morning. It's good to see everybody. And we've been walking through a poem in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 in the Old Testament. It's this wisdom poem. And this wisdom poem is designed to give us wisdom for handling the seasons of life. And so we've been walking through that, and we've come now to the saying, the phrase where it says there's a time for this and a time for that and a time for this and a time for that. And it says there's a time to love, a time to love. When I think about someone wise talking about love, I realize it's kind of foreign to me. I'll tell you what I mean. When I grew up, I can't remember ever talking about wisdom. Like, I don't want to be too hard on my family or on myself or on our people. But I was trying to think about it. Like the songs I listened to, Journey, were they writing about wisdom? Foreigner, or I didn't have folks in my life saying like the Proverbs do. The Proverbs will say, though it cost you everything, get wisdom. Wisdom is better than sex. Wisdom's better than money. Wisdom's better than fishing. Wisdom's better. Like, I didn't have anybody talk to me like that. I didn't realize it, and they didn't realize it. What we talked about a lot was love. I mean, we talk about love all the time. I tried to love you. I was loving you. You don't love me. The songs that we listen to, the shows we watch, everything's always talking about love since I've been growing up. And I think the only time we talked about wisdom was at Christmas. We would sing a song or hear a song sung, We Three Kings of Orient Are. It's about the three wise men. And then we had some ornaments we put on our tree, the three wise men. And then we put them in a box, put them down in the basement in the back room. And the next 11 months, we didn't think anything about the three wise men. It never occurred to me that the three wise men, and we know there were more than three, but it never occurred to me that they might have something to say about my life. And it never occurred to me that they might have something to teach me about love. I did not grow up in a family or in a church setting, a religious setting, that connected wisdom and love. In our estimation, love is sort of like this wild stallion, roaming free, untamed. That's love, And we keep trying to get on that stallion of love, and we keep getting bucked off. And we believed in love, but it seemed so hard for us to find it, to practice it. I grew up in a family. Each of my parents have been married 3 times. We were in a really broken place, and all of that was in the name of love. If we thought about wisdom, it wasn't this stallion, wild and free. Wisdom was this old, cranky, cantankerous cane walker, And but the story that the Bible's telling to enable us to make sense of the world doesn't look at it like that. The story that I was told to make sense of the world and that I have told would say that wisdom and love aren't together. They're not connected in any way. But the wise that we're looking at in Ecclesiastes 3, they think differently. It's the wise who teach us about love. The wise who say there's a time to love. As a matter of fact, we could just spend week after week after week just looking at what wisdom says about love. And so my heart for us this morning, in the first place, is to look at this biblical picture of things and to realize we need to reconnect wisdom and love. If we hope to get on that wild stallion of love, wisdom is the only whisperer that knows how to tame that stallion. And with wisdom, we can grab that stallion's mane and ride free. Wisdom leads us to the love we long for, but can't seem to find. The earliest Christians began to pick up on this, and when they prayed for each other, listen to how an early Christian prayed for other early Christians. It's Philippians chapter 1, verse 9. He says this, "It is my prayer that your love may abound more and more." Now that's awesome. I'm going to pray for you that you just overflow with love and you just keep growing in love. Listen to the next sentence. It is my prayer that your love may abound more and more with knowledge and all discernment. Huh. That sounds like wisdom. It seems like they recognized that there's a kind of way of loving that is disconnected from knowledge and doesn't discern. And it seems like now they have this concept that love is supposed to be tethered to knowledge and discernment. And then they're looking at themselves like, we can't work this up. We got to pray. And so like the wise do, they ask God that he would grow their love and tether it to wisdom. And you think to yourself, wow, where did these early Christians learn this? From Jesus. Check this out. There's this moment where in John, the book of John, chapter 3, verse 19, Jesus says this. He talks about people who loved darkness more than light. They love darkness. Isn't it? Love. They love darkness more than light. What has to be going on in our heart to love darkness? And he's using that as a metaphor to talk about unseemly things, the things that harm us, the evil things, the things that damage us. We love it, he says. It seems like the Lord Jesus is saying something like this. We are capable of loving unlovely things. We love darkness. And we are able to dismiss or hate things that nourish love more than light. It's as if someone offered us a menu. And the menu has things that are damaging and evil and hurtful on it. And the menu has other appetizers and meals that are full of light and goodness and wisdom. And we just choose. We have a taste for the thing that hurts and harms. And so even when the earliest Christians, when they were thinking about deconstructing the faith, you know how many of our friends are doing that, and some of us right here, you're right here at Riverside because this is what's going on in your life, and you're trying to sort this out. One of the fascinating things is that the earliest Christians, when they talked about someone who walks away from Jesus or walks away from Christianity, they don't talk about it in terms of faith. Well, he believed differently. They describe it in terms of love. There's this guy named Demas. He walked away from Jesus, walked away from Christianity, and they said this way, Demas, having loved this present world, left the things of Jesus. Where did Jesus get this idea? That our loves can go awry and be untethered from wise things? Well, Jesus roots himself in the fullness of his humanity. He roots himself in this long history of Hebrew wisdom. And this wisdom that foreshadows him tethers wisdom and love together. And so you see in this poem, the wise are telling us there's a time to love. And then they put it this way. In Proverbs chapter 1, verse 22, by the way, there's a guide for you in your paths that you can follow along with us. In Proverbs chapter 1, verse 22, listen to the question the wise ask. Okay? How long, O simple ones, will you love being simple? How long will scoffers delight in their scoffing, and fools hate knowledge? First, notice there are three kinds of people. The simple, we might call that the naive, and the scoffer, and the fool. And notice that each type of person loves. The simpleton, the naive, loves naive things. The naive heart loves, that is, has a desire and decides in favor of naive heart, naive people, naive things, naive situations, naive songs, naive posts that they scroll. They love naive things. And the scoffer delights, savors, finds tasty, scoffing things. And a fool hates knowledge. That is, a fool loves anything as long as it's not wise. And so here you are with this menu. If I have a naive love, a naive heart, and I'm offered a menu, and on it is tasty appetizers of wisdom and tasty appetizers of naivete, I choose the appetizers of naivete. Why? Because that's what my heart loves. Jesus talked about it this way. It's like we're a tree, and we produce a certain kind of fruit. And you know which kind of tree something is by the kind of fruit it produces. So a naive heart produces naivete. And a foolish heart produces more folly. It's like, Jesus said, pulling treasure up out of our heart. Out of our heart we speak to others. So if we have naive love in our heart, what do we offer to others? Naivete. And if we have folly in our heart, what do we offer to others? Folly. And we love it that way. Now what we're going to see is what we're starting to hint at, why wisdom and love must be reconnected. It practically is something like this. Maybe you're sitting with a counselor or a spiritual director, and the counselor, and you say to the counselor, you know, my parent just didn't love me. Or my friend just didn't love me. And a wise counselor might say to you, sure they did. It's just they offered you the love they had. They offered you what was in their heart and what they loved. And so you had a naive person offering you naive things. And they called it love. That's why they keep saying, but I loved you. And you're saying, but this doesn't feel like love. And it's because they love naive things, and that's what they offer. They love foolish things, and that's what they're loving you with. That's what they have. And so a wiser love comes along. A wiser lover comes along and teaches us to ask God that our love would be tethered to knowledge and discernment, so that when we experience that love, we are able to get up on that horse of love, grab the mane, and ride. There's one who knows how to do that. He's one greater than Solomon. His name is Jesus. And so we're going to pause right now, and Nick's going to come up. There'll be a question for you up on the screen, and we're going to just stop here. I'm going to ask you to consider, in what way has love and wisdom been separated in your life? And if you desire to follow Jesus or you're curious about him, he's going to reconnect them. Wisdom and love put back together. And this will be good news. So let's pause and reflect on that, and then we'll come back. let's take a look and introduce ourselves to these three unwise ways of love. Naive love, foolish love, scoffing love. And then let's put that in the context of the wiser lover that the wise have in mind. First, a naive love. We could think of that perhaps with the story of Snow White. You might remember, most of us know the Disney version, and so we see Snow White, she's at the door, there's a witch holding an apple. But in the original story, this is the third time Snow White has opened the door to the witch. In the original story, the witch has been there twice before. Same witch, same door. First, she offered Snow White lace. Snow White falls down like she's dead. The dwarves come to resuscitate her. Same witch, same door. Now it's a comb. Comb is filled with some kind of magic. It's going to kill Snow White. So the dwarves come to resuscitate her. Third time, now we're at the apple. Okay. Snow White, first of all, throws the dwarves under the bus. The witch opens up, knocks on the door, and Snow White says, I'm not supposed to open this to you. Now, it should be, she's like, no way I'm opening this door to you. But she's like, they're telling me I shouldn't open this door. If it was just me, and I want you to know I'm nice, I mean, all would be good for us, but she doesn't want to be mean, you know. And so then the witch just asks this question. It comes out of nowhere. It's a little suspicious if you're thinking. She just says, what? Do you think this apple is poison? Now, we're thinking to ourselves who've watched this whole scene, yes, we do. We do think this apple is poison. And then she says, look, I'll eat this side of it. Would there be poison if I eat this side of the apple? We're saying, yes. Yes, there could be poison in an apple on the other side. But Snow sees the thrill of it, the immediate moment. It can't be all bad. I mean, she's just an old lady trying to make a living. And she takes a bite. And we know what happens next. Oh, it's a story of naivete. Keep opening the same door, even though the door hurts you. The biblical, historical story to this fictional account would be Samson and Delilah. Samson keeps opening his heart to someone who has demonstrated that harm is their only intention. The wonderful thing about naive love is it's open. That's what the word means. Naive means open. Simple means open. And the wise love being open. A childlike heart requires it. Impartiality, sincere, teachable ways of relating require an open posture. And the naive heart has that. The problem isn't their openness. The problem with the naive lover is we're open to things even when we ought to keep the door closed. We stay open to unwise things. And that's what makes us naive. The simple believes everything, but the prudent gives thought to his steps, Proverbs 14:15. We believe everything. We don't like to give thought to things. It just brings the vibe down. We want to keep the mood bright. The prudent man sees danger and hides himself, but the simple go on and suffer for it, Proverbs 22:3. I don't have to wear seatbelts like other people do. I'm with God. Or I'm not like other people. I don't have to respond to danger the way everybody else does. Or a trite way of relating. Whoever sings songs to a heavy heart is like one who takes off a garment on a cold day, Proverbs 25:20. I hear you telling me it's cold. I hear you telling me you're shivering. I hear you telling me you're having a... Look, it can't be that bad. It is not that bad. Look, let me just take your coat from you and you'll see. A naive heart loves you, but the thing is they love naive things. And so it's something like this. I feel for you, I'll work for you or with you as long as you don't make me listen too long or get too deep. So a naive love won't ask you, is this the right thing to do? A naive love will just say, what do we need to do to get things bright again? Well, whatever we got to do just to make things feeling good again. It's a commitment to immediate gratification, keeping everything happy, feeling good, impatient with nuance or complexity or sadness or hard times, offering quick solutions. When a naive lover says they're sorry, if they do, if they say they're sorry, it's like it's a little bit irritable. Sorry. The sorry is designed to get us out of this negative vibe and get us back to feeling good again. Rather than a wholesome brokenness that sees what's wrong and enters the plight of it and seeks the healing of a wiser love. The result is that a naive lover robs us of our tears. Instead of weeping with those who weep, it tries to get those who are weeping to rejoice. It's not that bad. My daughter's car was broken into not too long ago. And so she got one of those security things, a big bar, big massive bar. I forget what it's called right now. And she put it on her steering wheel. And one of her neighbors, this is a true story, one of her neighbors saw that big bulky security apparatus on our daughter's steering wheel. And her neighbor said, "Oh, I would never do that. I don't want to come off that way. I wouldn't want people to think I think they're going to steal my car." And then she said, "I'm a nice person, you know, and things like this don't happen to nice people." A naive heart is naive about the real world, saying that it doesn't want to come off this way to a witch at the door or to a thief on the road, and wants them to think they're nice. A naive love hates the thought of being thought mean. And what this means is a naive lover robs God of God's tears. What I mean by that is this: a naive lover pictures a Jesus who's naive. Jesus would be committed to always making things bright and happy for you. Jesus would never have anything in your life that might cause tears. Jesus would keep everything nice and always for you because you too are such a nice person. And so is Jesus, and he likes things happy. And so it robs Jesus of being the man of sorrows, who knows how to enter the sorrows of this fallen world and weep with those who weep. A naive love. A foolish love is a bit different. A naive love is something like this. It's just awesome to have a naive lover on the team. When you're getting something started like a church or a small group, a business or a project or romance. Because the naive lover is open. So it's whatever. Hey, would you like Mexican food or Chinese food? Whatever, I'm good. That is a great way to start a romance or a project. Should we do this vision or that one? Whatever, I'm open. Should we have this color or that color? Whatever. I mean, it's incredible. But 6 months later, 6 years later, it's pain. Do you want to have Chinese food or Mexican food tonight? Whatever. No, really. No, really. I'm just asking, what would you like to have? No, whatever. No, I know. Thanks so much. But I'm always choosing, and I really just want to know you, and it's just dinner. Like, where do you land? Which one would you like? And if you're on a project team, the project team can't function if everyone keeps saying whatever. Somebody has to be able to count the cost. Somebody has to be able to enter the risk you're trying to manage and to account for negative possibilities. And so if someone just keeps saying whatever, you can't wisely get your work done because you need someone to land. A naive heart, we just don't like the conflict. We just want everything nice. But a foolish heart, a foolish love, doesn't know how to be nice. Almost is uncomfortable with it. If the picture of a naive love is Samson or fictionally Snow White, the picture of a foolish lover in the wisdom literature is a growling lion. This is how we've said it around here. A growling lion. So you say, good morning. The Cardinals won. The Cardinals lost. Happy birthday. The kids are coming over. Wasn't it a good day? It's just this feeling that just under the surface is a fight waiting to happen. that you could be devoured. You don't know why it is. You just know at Thanksgiving you're talking to your counselor or your spiritual director or your pastor. You don't know why. It's just you feel it in your body. And it's something like this. You just know that everything will be going great. But man, if you somehow put the fork in the wrong place, like 30 seconds ago, we were laughing and having the time of our life. Somehow I put the wrong fork at the wrong place and rah! If a naive heart can rob us of our tears, it doesn't want to, but it does. A foolish love creates them, creates the tears because it robs you of your story. You can't be different. Listen to these ways it's described. The vexation of a fool is known at once, but the prudent ignores an insult, Proverbs 12:16. See a person who cannot ignore an insult, and you're looking at a fool in your family system, in your political system, in your church system. The wise, it's not that they ignore insults like the naive would. No, the wise know what was just done and what was just said. They name it clearly and they feel it, but they're able to ignore it. Put it in its place, to know when it's time and not time to deal with that. A fool takes no pleasure in understanding, but only in expressing his opinion, Proverbs 18:2. Check that out. A foolish lover takes no pleasure in understanding. That is, they find no happiness. They find it boring. They find it a waste of time. They are impatient with getting to know you or getting to know what truth might be. They don't find it a happy thing to understand. And so the result of that is that they only answer according to what they already think. A rebuke goes deeper into a man of understanding than 100 blows into a fool. Here we go. A rebuke is a correction. It's introduced into a foolish lover's life that there's something about their life that needs to change. And if that thing would change, there would be wholesome, healthier, wiser relating, right? And so the suggestion is made that, hey, I love you. I want this relationship, dad, mom, grandpa, friend, pastor, whatever it is. But you suggest it, and it's, and a rebuke goes deeper into a man of understanding than 100 blows in a fuel. Rebuke a wise man once. You know their wisdom because they break. They humble themselves and they listen and they turn. Wisdom doesn't mean they were perfect or without sin. It just meant that when it was set before them, they agreed. When it was true. But 100 blows, they can still, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 90 more. And a foolish heart still won't learn. Their only commitment when we're in this posture of heart is to give our own opinion. If you would just change and be like me, all would be well. There's no actual conversation going on. No actual give and take or understanding. If a foolish heart says they're sorry, it's I'm sorry that you. Well, I'm sorry that you. I mean you. Why? Because doing wrong is like a joke to a fool. Proverbs 10:23. Fools mock at the guilt offering. Proverbs 14:9. A foolish love doesn't see itself as doing anything wrong. Ever. And so if it's suggested that it does something wrong, it laughs about it, or the wrong that it does, it makes light of it. And so a foolish love blusters like a storm. Words multiply, but wisdom doesn't. Think about how Jesus related in two contexts. One, Jesus is relating with this woman who's by a well. And then in contrast, Jesus relates with this lawyer. Women by wells and lawyers might be different. I'm married to a lawyer, so I'm not picking on lawyers. It's just a fact about what we're about to see what Jesus related to. When he relates to this woman by the well, he talks with childlike wonder. I know about water that's alive. I know about liquid with gills. And the woman just says, oh yeah? Okay. And she goes along with it. A foolish heart would be, living water, come on. An open heart stays open, right? And then they talk about, they're crossing ethnic, political, theological differences. A foolish heart cannot handle such a conversation. They can't, because there's no pleasure in it. They can't imagine they have anything to learn or understanding anything. But an open heart will. And in that context, man, in the course of this conversation, they talk about all those differences between them. They talk about her whole relational history. She keeps choosing the same kind of relational dynamic over and over and over again, naively, and sinned against in her culture and all that kind of stuff. But then they talk about their theological differences, and this is the place where Jesus describes this thick theological description of God. It's to her. He says, God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and in truth. It is the ground they cover is stunning. But then there's this other moment where Jesus is talking to a lawyer who comes to him and says, hey, I want eternal life. What do I do? And Jesus said, how do you read it? The man says, talking about the Bible, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Love your neighbors yourself. Jesus says, sounds good. Go do that. The man can't handle that. Can't handle the silence. He wants to justify himself. It must be what the wiser lover discerned. This isn't an actual conversation, and it's not an actual question. The man is using the questions to justify himself. So Jesus tells a story. Must have infuriated an adult. Once upon a time, man went down, fell among thieves. One went past, second went past, third one came and helped. Which one proved to be the neighbor? Now the man has to answer this question. He answers the question. Jesus says, go do that. Look at the differences. When Jesus deals with a lawyer who wants to justify himself, Jesus is present. Jesus engages him, but it is a very sparse email. Question, sounds good. Story, question, sounds good. They don't talk about the depths of theology. They don't talk about this guy's past in any intimate way. They don't talk about any of the things that are between them or that God could be doing in them or anything like that. And the open heart, the naive heart, she's going to tell her whole townspeople, look, I'm just talking to this guy Jesus. You got to come and see what I'm saying. And this other guy, this lawyer, his heart is closed. It's hard. There's none of that. Sometimes a foolish heart has to be subverted. Jesus invites the naive lover, but he subverts the foolish lover. Sometimes you consider not answering. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest you be like him. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. There's a time where we don't answer if we're dealing with a foolish lover. Sparse words. Do not speak in the hearing of a fool. He will despise the good sense of your words, Proverbs 23:9. Set boundaries. Leave the presence of a fool. There you do not meet words with knowledge, Proverbs 14:7. Like one who binds the stone in the sling is one who gives honor to a fool. Like an archer who wounds everyone is one who hires a passing fool. The naive lover says, this sounds unchristian. This is mean. This is mean. Come on, Jesus, lighten up. What do you mean, don't answer a fool? What do you mean, set a boundary? What do you mean? That just seems mean. And Jesus says this is wise. You see, Snow White does not recognize that when she opens the door for the third time, she is like a mother who says to her child, keep trying to be with your unsafe, abusive dad. He is your father after all. Or the dad who says, keep just opening yourself to the abusive mother. She is your mother after all. It is a naive thing to keep opening the same unwise door and learning nothing from it. A wiser love learns from it. So, if a naive love tends to try to get you to rejoice when you're weeping, a foolish heart tries to correct, admonish, instruct those who are weeping, rather than entering the weeping itself as a wiser lover does. A foolish heart pictures a foolish Jesus, if they're Christians. They picture a Jesus who cannot differ with anybody and only agrees with me. Everything I think and feel is what he thinks and feels. If you're on my side, you're on his side. If you would just come over to my side, you'd be on his side. Rather than Jesus' way of being able to let your story be your story and honor it and dignify it and enter it, even when he differs with you. To hear you so that you feel heard and known, even when he differs with you. He doesn't characterize you in a way that you don't recognize. He characterizes you and you say, wow, he listened. A scoffing love. This is a criminal activity. It takes advantage of those who weep. It tries to tear down those who rejoice. This is the person, the scoffer is the name of the arrogant, haughty man who acts with arrogant pride. Proverbs 21:24. Like a madman who throws firebrands, arrows, and death is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, I was only joking. Proverbs 26:18 and 19. A scoffer does not like to be reproved. Proverbs 15:12. Do not reprove a scoffer. He will hate you. Reprove a wise man, he will love you. How do you know you're wise? You love being corrected when you need to be. I got a lot that I need to grow in. Whoever corrects a scoffer gets himself abuse, and he who reproves a wicked man will incur injury. This is the person, you're their counselor, and this person sends you a letter to your home address to let you know they know where you live. This is a scoffing activity. It robs, when scoffers do things violently in the name of God, they picture a scoffing Jesus who has no moral law and no moral ethic. They picture a Jesus who loves what is dark and sanctions it. So, if you were to, let's try to bring this down a little bit into our everyday life. If you were to, say, appeal to a lover, a person, a human being, and you say, I feel hurt, I feel as though something's off or gone wrong, I long for a different way of relating, can we talk? A naive love will respond something like this, oh, nothing's wrong, I mean, everything is fine. There's nothing to be heard or talk about. Here, let me buy you something. Here, let's just go out and watch a movie. Everything's fine. And so they're content to leave you. Everything good? Good. Good. And then you go have dinner. And you eventually learn you cannot have a deep conversation with unsettled, unsolved, negative things. A naive love just can't do that with you. You need a wiser love for that. I'm hurt. I feel as though something's off or gone wrong. I long for a different way of relating. Can we talk? A foolish love will say, you're the one who's wrong. You want to talk about pain? I'll tell you about pain. You say things are unfair? Life is unfair. There's no conversation. This person now is going to dictate everything. And the only peace you'll have with them is if you agree with them. You say to a scoffing person, I'm hurt, I feel as though something's wrong or gone wrong. I long for a different way of relating. Can we talk? Everything is wrong. Everything is pain. Pain is joy. Wrong is pleasure. Because of this, The wise will also talk about the crushed in spirit. Why are we crushed in heart? Because in the name of love, we've had our tears robbed, our story taken from us, and our dignity taken from us. We've been sinned against by naivete, by folly, and by scoffers. And we're crushed in spirit. And if we're in that situation, we're tempted. We're tempted when we're hurt to choose naive love as a response. Hakuna Matata. Eat, drink, and be merry. I'm done with it. I'm just going to go have a happy life. Choose a naive way as a response to being sinned against. Others of us choose a foolish way. They do this to me, I'll do it back. Hard protection, keep everybody distant. Everything is my way from now on, or no way. Or a scoffing response. They burn my city down, I'll burn theirs down. But a wiser response delivers us from all of that. Because God himself is a wiser lover. He enters your tears. He doesn't take them from you. He honors and dignifies your story. Even when you differ from him, he will not take that from you. He will hear you. And he will never take your dignity from you. Even if you defy him, he will recognize the dignity of whose image you were created in. God is no naive, foolish, or scoffing lover. He is wise. What would it sound like? I don't know. It only sounds trite if I try, but it's something like this. I feel hurt. I feel as though something's off or wrong. I long for a different way of relating. Can we talk? A wiser response would be something like, I hate the thought that I've hurt you. It must have taken courage to risk sharing this with me. I have to be honest, I feel anxious. I'm tempted to defend myself, but I don't want to do that. I want you and I to be okay. I want us to be solid together. Would you feel comfortable telling me more about what seems wrong? I need to take a little break, but I just need to gather myself, but I want to hear you. I want to find our way together. This is because Jesus is something like this. When you come into the context of a wiser lover who knows how to grab the mane of wise love and ride that stallion free, that kind of lover, when you cry, they won't tickle you. They won't tell you to snap out of it. They won't try to correct you, get you a drink, offer sex. They won't try to teach you, fault you, dismiss you, or take advantage of you. They will cry with you. And when you're happy with wise goods, they won't steal your story or envy or covet you. They won't guilt you or berate you. They won't tear you down. They won't turn your happiness into their selfie. A wise lover will simply and full-heartedly rejoice with you. And this is why followers of Jesus start using words like good news. This is what you long for, isn't it? Don't you long to have your joy and your tears heard, known? Your story, the way it is, even if it's different, especially where it's different from others, to be heard and understood. And to have someone, even if they differ with you, uphold your dignity. This is what you long for, and it's what I long for. It's what we were created for. And all the resources to provide what you long for are found in this reconnecting of wisdom and love that our cultural stories keep separating, but the biblical story keeps integrating. It's confusing. I could be naive at romance, foolish as a parent, and wise at work. You know? That's why it slows us down and we get confused. The person is wise as a parent, but foolish at work. Their staff, they can't And so, this wisdom way invites us to reconnecting love To conclude, there's a song from a musical called Rent. It's a movie as well. It's called Seasons of Love. It's an incredible song. You can't help but start to sing along. 525,600 minutes. 525,000 moments so dear. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a life? A year. How about love? How about love? How about love? Measure your life in seasons of love. And now, let's apply what we've been learning and say two things to a song like that. Number one, incredible. Incredible. This is the way the wise talk. We have to measure our life in seasons of love. This is the way Jesus said it. The sum of the heart of God and His law is love for that God and love for our neighbor as ourselves, including our enemy. Incredible. But now, we're starting to realize from a biblical point of view, though, we're still in a different story than that song. Why? Because we are now beginning to learn to ask a follow-up question. We measure our life in seasons of love. Yeah. What kind of love are we talking about? Naive love? Foolish love? Scoffing love? Is it a wise love we're talking about? And now you begin to realize when Jesus said the sum of the heart and law of God is to love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and to love your neighbor as yourself, including your enemy. He wasn't saying naively love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. And naively love your neighbor as yourself, including your enemy. And he wasn't saying foolishly love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Foolishly love your neighbor, including yourself, even your enemy. And he certainly wasn't saying scoffingly love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and scoffingly love your neighbor as yourself, even your enemy, right? The love Jesus assumes is the one greater than Solomon, is the love that's being spoken of by wisdom. That when he calls us to a story of love, he's calling us to the wise love, so that we begin to learn now from the earliest Christians that we need a new kind of discipleship and mentoring. We need help to begin to cry out, "Oh God, would that our love would grow. A love that's tethered to knowledge and discernment. Oh God," and now you're praying for your children. "Teach my children to love in such a way that's wiser. Oh Lord, help me, help my family, help my community." And now you're realizing when you're scrolling things, it isn't just me, a guy like me that grew up without any wisdom talk and thought of wisdom as an old frowning cane walker and love as this wild stallion. I think most of you have grown up that way too. And that means our church leaders have grown up that way. And that means our teachers have grown up that way. And that means our parents have grown up that way. It means our politicians have grown up that way. And it means that the people of God who are followers of Jesus are now have to confess, "Oh my, we're meant to live from a different story altogether. Oh my." When you're scrolling somebody, are they wise lovers? Or are they naive about pain? Foolish about your point of view? Or ready in a moment, even in the name of God or some policy, to take your dignity from you like a scoffer would do? Everybody talks about love, the wise say. We looked at this last week. Many claim unfailing love, say the wise. But a faithful person who can find? And so here we are together, coming to the wise lover. He is the whisperer of this untamed horse. He is the one who has grabbed the mane and rides this horse wild and free. He's the one who knows how. And He's the one that enters your longing for love and tethers it to wisdom. And as He does it, you too will begin to ride. And I'll be thankful to join you. Let's pray together. Lord, here we are, looking to you. We know that on the cross you died for every naive act in our heart, every foolish, scoffing act in our heart. You died to forgive us for it. And we look to you for forgiveness. And we know that you gave us every bit of wise love, washed us with it, clothed us with it. And we ask now, Lord, all of us naive, foolish ones, would you recover us, reorder our love, and tether us to your wisdom again? We praise you in Jesus, your name. Amen. Serving, if you'll come on up. And on the night that Jesus died, he took bread. It was a Passover night. He broke this bread. He also took a cup, and he spoke of the forgiveness of sins and a new covenant. His body broken, his blood shed. And he said, "Do this in remembrance of me." So we do want to follow him and do this in remembrance of him. If you are a follower of Jesus, then this is for you. You take a bit of bread and you dip it in this cup. There's no magic to the bread. It was wonderfully made by a member of our church. There's no magic to the juice. We probably bought it at Schnucks for $2.99 or $4.99 or something. The bread and the cup are for anyone, rich or poor, no matter who you are. And you come and you just dip that bread in there. And if it sinks too deep or something, we just laugh as children in the presence of God. And you put it in your mouth. And as you go back to your seat, you're reflecting on the God who so loved you, he gave his only begotten Son, who gave his life for you. And you're thinking he gave his life for your naivete and your folly and your temptations to scoff. And you're thinking of how he's telling you a different story and a way to live. And you're just confessing to him, "Oh Lord, I'm a fool," or "Oh Lord, I'm naive," or "Oh Lord, have mercy on me." "Oh Lord," and you're looking to him. If you are not a follower of Jesus, we invite you to be authentic to who you are. We're declaring faith things. We're saying that Jesus died on a cross for our sins. We're saying he bodily rose from the dead and that he's actually alive right now. If that isn't your faith, that he's the way, the truth, and the life, then just say where you are or get up and walk, and feel free. We'd love to answer any questions you might have, but you get to stay true to where you're at and what you think. I'll be offering a gluten-free provision for those whose bodies need that. Jeremy is right back there for those who are COVID mindful in such a way that you would like an individually wrapped provision. And the rest of us are right here. We're ready to serve you. When you're ready, come on down and receive the spiritual nourishment from the Lord.
Once more, like children, we are come to banquet with our God. May each one others, Lord, who only see the sign, but as the objects of Christ's love, would feel we're one in Him. We banquet with our God, feast on His love. We banquet with our God, feast on His love. Like freeborn songs, we would be free from every legal chain. Praise Him who bought our liberty, and ever with Him reign. We banquet with our God, feast on His love. We banquet with our God, feast on His love.
If you're able, let's stand and sing together.
When peace like a river attendeth my
Well, when the wise tell us that there's a time to love, they are letting you know that you'll experience times in your life of wise love and unwise love. And I'm thankful to be in that experience with you together, because that's my story. I imagine it's yours too. And now together we're looking for the wiser lover, the one who created you and knows what love is, who's inviting you to the stallion of love to know how to ride it. And this is a kind and incredible invitation. One of an early foolish and scoffing person named Paul. He had done so much wreckage in his life in the name of love for God. And when Jesus met him, everything changed. And Paul was reflecting on love. And I say words that he said to us, so I get to say them. He just said, "There is therefore now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. Go in peace." Amen.